What's going on, boys? Welcome back. Oh, there goes my squeaky arm there holding my microphone. How y'all doing though? Welcome back to another good old a good old legendary lord with cap point land battle tournament. Today we got quite a few folks joining us, so that's very exciting. And we're going to be hopping into the games real quick. I just need to do some more spammage of the Discords, as is per usual. Just going to annoy everybody in general so they will know of my putrid presence. And yeah, after that, we'll hop in some games. I think the tournament's about underway. I think everybody has just checked in right about now, so we should be good to hop into some juicy games once that has once that's happened. Yes. But yeah, how's everybody feeling? Let's go. Let's go, baby. Oh yeah. Start doing moist critical impressions. Let's go, baby. If I can just start screaming into the mic. All right. We're just Koi's Discord. I don't know if you know Koi, but he's a real memester, real good guy. Let's see. Stream announcements. Yes. Okay, I think we've reached the end of our things here. It's over now. It's over now. Okay, let's see what games we can hop into. All right, we have Drazhoath, yay. So let's see. Let's take a look at the bracket here. I will describe the bracket for you in a second if I can figure my shit out. But yeah, take a look-see. So it looks like it is going to be the Gentle Rat who's playing Drazhoath versus Kugath, who will be Dr. Nerd. This is all best of one for the first 3 rounds into the semifinals, and the finals will be best of 3. Ryder Rohan as Tyrion, of course. Yumaz going in as Bellegar, I'm assuming. Umbrella looking like he's going with the Wurzag. We have Vilitch for Will. And Morger for RTK Platypus, Lokir Fellheart for the Phoenix King, Manfred for Salinator, Repanse for Tactical Lich, Lord Mazda Mundi for Zegsy, and good old Zarina for Lamzos. So we are getting a whole bunch of peeps here. Let's see. I'm gonna go. Let's go with the hidden trees. Yeah, let's go into this guy's lobby. And we'll see, well, actually, let's see, is there anybody who has 2 already? Yeah, we'll visit Yumaz. We'll visit Yumaz, yes. Let's message them in chat. There we go. Bam. Reminding the lads to open some spec slots. So we can get some stuff going here. Yes, we need the spec slots open, brothers, so we can view your glorious competition. It's been an action-packed day. I know. Dude, that tournament, the Faction War tournament was pretty wild as well. It was a good old time. A good old time indeed. God, there's a lot. Okay, so we got Hail the True Emperor Nerion, Nurgle's Hot Yoga Studio. Okay, it looks like. So we have. All the spectator boys are. Well, we've seen a lot of Umbrella, mostly because he's the homie, but also just a lot of spectating his games as well. So let's go. Let's see what the True Emperor has to say, and he has 2 people. Means the game's gonna start soon. All right, let's get that blocker up real quick. There we go. Cheese, hot dog, Mazda Mundi here. Coming in with your side-by-side or play-by-play action. I always love that. I wish Blood Bowl 3 wasn't a disappointment, because I would have loved to be like casting some Blood Bowl games again, like in a fresh game. But they just fucked it so bad. They just fucked it up so bad. It was quite unbelievable, actually. Alright, so it looks like it's gonna be Morger. Ooh, Platypus versus the Phoenix King. This is gonna be a good, interesting fight, I think. This will be a scrap. So it's gonna be Lokir versus the Morger. Very, very both good lords in their own right. One a duelist god, meant for scrapping with any other character they can in the game. And Morger, more so a tanky support character who can turn weak units into monstrosities. I was going to say monstrous infantry, and then I just kind of molded into monstrosity there. But Morger is like really, really good support character. It was a lot more beastly when he was basically the only decent lord. He was very strong in game 2 and game 1. But that's mostly because Kazrak was just a kind of a limp dick for like a while. And then Malagor was cool, but he didn't have the flying that he does now, which I think makes him infinitely better. I love him now. I love doing leadership bombs with him. I think he's really good at like focusing in and just routing off. If you're against a faction that can terror route and route, he has some good plays. I think he's very mobile, very adaptable, and he's not the worst combatant either. And he's fast as shit. He has like 120 movement speed when he's flying around. Really good stuff. So yeah, but Morger and the Lokir, I think I mean, it just depends how you bring Lokir, right? I mean, Lokir is you don't need him to be on a dragon to fight Morger, but also it's going to be probably pretty hard to get him isolated until the late game, um, because just the nature of foot characters, they can get bogged down by even infantry, so it's hard to wiggle your way past all the roadblocks sometimes to get into the cookie jar. But we'll see how the Phoenix King, Prince of all elves, will fare against the gross, disgusting Morger helmed by Platypus. I would recommend. I recently saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the movie, and pretty good stuff. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but ooh, that movie was good. James Gunn has outdone himself this time for sure. I think he's really always been like a pretty talented director, but like this just like I think he's a growing, like the more he puts into like a series of movies, like the trilogy just like wraps up like so well. Okay, let's get rid of this filthy screen blocker. The cholesterol-ridden salon needs to be gone. And now we can begin the trials. Begin the trials. Oop. Let's see if we can load. Come on, Big Papa, do it. Finish those gigabytes, bits. Oh yeah. Might need to. Our speed's pretty good. It's always interesting. I always have to change up the camera settings between kind of traditional and like more smoothing and my regular debug setup for when I'm actually playing the game. I'm a filthy debug camera user. It gives you a lot more space to see the battlefield in micro. It just puts less micro attacks on you because you don't have to shift your camera all around. And albeit I'm fine with shifting my camera around like such, but it just it's more of a tax. Like you will have a faster reaction if you don't have to do that, right? So in high competitive games, you definitely want that less work and less stress on your back, I think. But some people can play perfectly fine, and I know like higher tier players have played without debug as well and made it work perfectly fine. I think Turin also plays a lot without debug, and he puts up a pretty decent fight in most matches, I would say. Pretty experienced, pretty good guy. So, yeah, now we're just waiting on Nerion the tax collector. He's too busy harassing the peasantry for gold, I guess, to show up to the battlefield. God, just collect already, Jesus. No, but yeah, hopefully we'll be good. This is just his machine and not so much the internet. Maybe this won't be. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. I perhaps jinxed it, but yes. Yeah, let's see what we got around this map. We got some tents. This doesn't even look. I guess this could be like a human camp, right? This looks very like man, Empire of Manish. You know, more so than dwarves, I would say. Maybe there's a little encampment of Empire, or perhaps like a stallion convoys going to entreat with the dwarfs and their strongholds. Yeah, I really want like a map of like um, eight peaks that is like the outside, but then also like has like depth to it that goes into the inside. Because imagine like you'd have eight giant mountains, right? And then there'd be this space in between because that's kind of how Eight Peaks is supposed to be shaped, if I'm correct. Um, and then there's like these caverns that you go into, and obviously the actual dwarf hold and all the inner workings of that. I'm sorry we're collecting taxes to get an upgrade. No, for real. You need the sweet tax money to fund that new PC, baby. Oh yeah. All right, let's see. Ooh, look at this little. Can we not go there? Okay, we can't. But can we zoom there? Nope, we can't use the N function right now. All right. See what else we got going on in this valley, and hopefully Phoenix King will load soon. Please, brother. Please. Puff and puff on your graphics card, your processor, everything. Yeah, okay, so, okay, no, maybe this is just like dwarven, supposed to be dwarven, like, things. I do see some similar looking tables here. Okay, reset, so it looks like he's probably going to be loading in soon. Um, yeah, man, I mean, this is still a really cool looking map. I respect the amount of work that all the map makers do in terms of the total tavern and all the custom stuff as well. Just very, very hard work to put these maps together. I want to get, okay, he's dropped from the game. Okay, yeah. Oof. I guess I did jinx it, man. I jinxed it. Well, it looks like it was a decisive victory for the Beastman. No. All right. Oops. Well, actually, no, it doesn't matter. We already seen the build, so we can leave it as is. We have the map set up. Hopefully, it will return soon. I don't know what other games have started, so I think we'll just do this one as well. Um, so we'll just retry this one, and if it becomes an issue, we'll obviously do something else in the meantime while we wait for round 2 to appear. Let me see if any results have been put in for the current round. No, they have not. So we are still in round 1. I'm pretty sure games are just being played and progressing, hopefully. Um, and then we have a juicy, like, 3 other rounds to get through as well. The last one being the final. So we actually have a pretty full tournament. Okay. You did go, yes, I jinxed it. I'm magical. I've proven it. I am attached to the winds of hashish, the bad luck wind of magic. But no, I'm hopefully Things King will be able to get up and running again soon. I know the anti-elf magic like I'm charging up and like all of a sudden all the elves just start exploding nearby in a 35-meter radius. They all just get their heads popped. I think that's a thing that you can do in 40K. I think the orcs from 40K can actually just explode. Like the weird boys, the like magical guys, or the psychers as they're classified in 40K language. They they can just have their heads explode of too much like psionic energy or whatever. That's how I feel when I like you know, witnessed the Phoenix Kings drop. Yeah, and you can pop heads in Darktide too. Yeah. Oh my God, that's what I was kind of thinking of. The Psychers in Darktide, you can just explode the heads. And they're very, I believe they're very good at like taking out elite like units in that game. So if you're a psyker, your job is to like obviously like crowd clear with the rest of everybody, but also you really are like meant to be the elite killer. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you just deal massive damage to their cranium by just having this lightning bolt come strike their like brain, which is pretty dope. Pretty dope shit. Oh, whoa. Now what do we got over there? Looks like another dwarven structure of some kind. It looks almost like a hangar. Looks like where the gyrocopters and like gyro bombers would be made. It's kind of a cool structure actually. If I had debug, I could go up there, but we do not have access to this glorious map. What's so funny is like even in these maps, just because of like the nature of making a balanced map in Warhammer right now, you you will always have a cooler background usually than what's on the battlefield, you know? Unfortunately. I mean, I think you can include some cool shit, but you have to include it kind of in equal measure. So you have to have like a cool thing and then a cool thing, or at least some like terrain that does the same thing, kind of obstructs like your pathways. Otherwise, people will feel like it's unfair, and that's it's never you don't want players to feel like the map is like robbing them or something because it's like asymmetrical. But I don't know. I like uniqueness as well, so I am definitely a fan of like having unique maps with like cool terrain pieces on them. But I know not everybody in a competitive scene is has the same feelings. All right, looks like the show is actually on the road here, boys. Okay, it's time. So for the Lag Lord Phoenix King himself, we have Lokir kitted out with Dreaded Duelist, Deadly Onslaught, and pretty much all the rest of the goodies. Helm the Kraken as per usual, so it gives him that good melee defense and regen. Merciless Slaver as well, nice. So it gives him some leadership debuff. Another part of his HQ is a Sorceress of Fire on foot. Cascading Fire Cloak for that cheap armor piercing and melee defense. Actually, a really good cheap spell to spam if you just want the passive, if you're playing Chaos Force, for instance. The Burning Head, very good stuff. We all know what that can do. Crushes the good old weak armored infantry of the Beastmen and gives a leadership debuff as well. I think for the Cav and mobility, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Cold One Knights with the anti-large armor piercing that they come with on the little lizard boys. Very cool. We have three Dread Spears, 2 Harganeth Executioners. Look at these lads. Very cool indeed. I love their stance. It's so fucking dope. Armor piercing, anti-infantry, very good shit. And then we have 4 Dark Shards with shields. Interesting choice. I don't know if you need the extra armor piercing, but I guess having ranged is just decent as well against potentially like Minotaurs and some other things you'd like to pressure from a distance. But traditionally, Beastmen don't have that much armor. Okay, so for the HQ of the good old Beastie Boys, we have Stave of Ruinous Corruption, of course. And oh my goodness, what is going on? What just happened? No. No. She's dead, Anakin. No. That's how I'm feeling. I just got Darth Vader, bro. What the fuck? Yep, we're gonna do that. All right, boys. I tried my best. Play. Everybody should be saving the replays if you can. Please, please do that. I know maybe not everybody's watching from the tournament. We don't even have enough viewers equal to the tournament participants, but please, please save the replays. I think we are gonna try. I mean, is anybody done with round 1? That's the thing, though. Okay, so we have Gentle Rat. We might as well try to spectate these guys unless someone ready from round 2. Okay, Nerd Receipt. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nerd, for sending in your stuff. Yep. Okay, so is anybody ready for round 2? It looks like the Gentle Rat and Salinator might be playing. And I'm not sure if everybody else has finished their games, We didn't start yet. We are placing our troops. We could back out for you. Let's see. Fuck it. If you're down for that umbrella, I would be down. I definitely want to get a game going here. We're 22 minutes in. No gameplay. This one, I might, I might actually have to do some editing after. I haven't been even touching my streams. I really should. I should cut them up into where the actual gameplay is, because I think that's helpful for viewers on the watch back. So, yeah, I would love it if either we have a quick start to the second round with Dr. Nerd and the Gentle Rat, or if Umbrella and his opponent would be willing to back out as well. Who's he playing? He's playing Will, who's playing Vilitch, I believe. So that's Vilitch and Thauman. Oh my god. All right. So we're gonna see if we can get anything, get some action, some sweet action here. One in a Krellian. Okay, that was all right. That was like mid. It doesn't fit quite as well, the Krell, but yeah, it was a pretty good one. Some of these like names are just horrible. I mean, two of them are just poop. So yeah, that tells you a lot about the player base, baby. Oh yeah, we're a mature group. Very lovely. No, but yeah, most video game lobby titles have a tendency to be ridiculously stupid or toxic for no apparent reason. Just a classic video game trait. All right. Okay. Can we do it? Can we get a game, boys? Let's do it. Ready up and go, baby. Tzeentch versus Greenskins. Now, this is an interesting one. So this is going to be Wurzag versus Vilitch. I do think Wurzag... I mean, Vilitch isn't... See, I'm not a Vilitch hater. I know a lot of people love the birds, and I do think most of the time the birds are better, simply because of their... Well, really because of blue fire. I mean, their cycle charging's good. I don't think it's the busted part about them. I really think it's that they can just pressure with the blue fire so well. I think blue fire is a spell. Needs a little bit of a tune down. I'm not saying like it's super busted. It just warps the way that Tzeentch plays, I think, to the point of it's basically you need to bring it every single time. Otherwise, you're basically at a disadvantage, which I don't like. I mean, there's kind of that same idea of when Grom had to get nerfed or needed to get nerfed during the era of the first World Cup and the Greenskins were terrors. It's not necessarily that Grom was the most OP thing ever, but it's just that if you didn't bring him and like 5 skirmish spider archers, you were just at an inherent disadvantage. So you always brought them. And I don't like that. I think you want to try to provide as many options or semi-viable options as possible and make it not cookie cutter for every single time. I think the HQ is just Vilitch solo, so we have blue fire, of course, and pink fire. No gate or no yeah, the Gate of Tzeentch or whatever. I forgot the big vortex name, but it's very good for AoE damage. So yeah, I think that's all the HQ for him for mobility and monsters here. We have 2 Screamers of Tzeentch, and then we have 4 Marauder Horsemen of Tzeentch. Very good Marauder Horsemen. A lot of the special Marauder Horsemen are very good. I think the weakest of them all is probably like Nurgle, but I mean even then they're still pretty good. So I think having these guys with their extra bonuses and shield and fire is like, and magic damage especially is very good. In this matchup, not particularly of interest though. So for the main course here, the main delicious front center line, we have Chaos Warriors and Tzeentch with halberds, a few Marauders here, a couple Marauders, and then 2 chosen Tzeentch with halberds. Interesting, okay. Very much anticipating that large rush of the Greenskins. And the Severed Claw. Very cool. Oh my goodness. a very cool ROR aspiring champions, anti-large, very good at their job as well because of the shield regeneration. Especially if you stick Vilitch on him, which I believe... Okay, game. I believe Vilitch does have his Twisted Twin and Paragon Change, so he's going to regen their shields a lot. For the Greenskins HQ, we just have a Wurzag with Effigy to get Brain Bursta, Fist of Gork, here we go, and his two premier items you always bring because he's cheap enough to bring them both, and they're very, very good. One is a global buff, the other is just a Wind of Magic buff, very good stuff. Then we have the Goblin Big Boss on a Wolf, it seems, yes. And they need Stabbin', which is going to be helpful to cycle charge down Vilitch in the end because he will have debuff stats when he engages. For the mobility, we got 4 Goblin Spider Riders, very nice. We have 2 Orc Boy Big Guns, one being the Broken Tusk Mob. And then as the front line, we got 4 Gobbos, 1 Orc Boy, interesting, 1 Crimson Killa, and then 2 Black Orcs. So very heavy hitting, and then the 3 Squigs, I almost forgot. But they're almost... when you see Greenskins, you think of this combo right here a lot because it's very cheap and it's very good at taking out stuff that costs way above its weight class here. So it is very easy to see these guys quite often when you're facing against the greenies these days. Same with the Boar Boys. They have a ton of mass. Now keep in mind, the mass is slightly bugged in its display on the UI because it factors in the rider's mass as well. That being said, for a normal heavy cav unit, Boar Boys have an immense amount of mass comparatively to the rest of the universe's cavalry options. I mean, they're damn near close to like bear mass from Kislev, and Kislev has like, you know, half the models. Actually, no, not half the models, like a quarter of the models they do basically. Marauder Horsemen running away into the Force Goblin Spider Riders. This is, I would say, kind of wasted ammunition. The Spider Riders do have shield block chance, alright armor, you know, and they're just really cheap, so you're not like getting a lot of gold value when you're throwing your jabs into there. Charging into goblins, doing some good damage. I don't know if they were braced or not, but they look like they got some sweet Zinchian horses to the face. Ooh, but that was a juicy brain burster. Luckily, barely piercing the shields of those Marauder Horsemen, keeping them relatively intact here. So they do get away relatively unscathed, but they're still taking some damage, and the more chip damage that they are taking, the less they will be able to regen their shields later down the line. Aspiring Champions kind of go off ahead of the rest of their Chosen and are going to get isolated by the Black Orcs. They're still a really good unit, but getting isolated with Black Orcs is not something many units want in the game, much less a small entity unit such as the Severed Claw. But with Vilitch and the Chosen coming in, you actually should have a pretty good shout against these Black Orcs, regenerating shields and just ridiculously high stats here of the Chosen with the 56 melee defense, armor-piercing damage. They should have a pretty good matchup. The flanks are going pretty horribly for Tzeentch as the Greenskins swarm them. But some of the Marauders are holding on there along with the Chaos Warriors doing work. Not seeing too many crazy spells go off for Tzeentch. On Wurzag and Vilitch are just kind of having a little face-off while the lines collide. Cycle charging from the Marauder Horsemen and Crimson Kills, not going to do a lot, in my opinion. The Squigs, yeah, maybe if they were isolated, but the Crimson Killers are very heavily armored. I'm not going to give too much of a shit about a side or rear charge from these Marauder Horsemen. Very healthy Boar Boys patrolling, waiting for their opportunity to get a rear charge or surround, perhaps. These Severed Claw and Chosen are getting beat down by the double gang crew of the Black Orcs. Vilitch, even with his shield regeneration powers, is not really allowing, is not really providing enough support to fend off 2 Black Orcs. One did rout, so it was a good favorable trade, and now this other one is coming in to swarm the rest of the Chosen, getting them attacks in the rear and shit, so it's not great. Orc Boy Big Guns coming in to fight these landed Screamers who actually are isolating the Broken Tusk Mob and probably going to pick them off with the help of these Marauder Horsemen who isolated them quite well, which is is good. I mean, the more you can get rid of these Borcav, the better, and the more you can keep your core of infantry healthy for Tzeentch, the better your late game is going to be. The fact that one Black Orc is routed off is very significant. The other one is peeling off and is probably going to try to find a better engagement, not wanting to get surrounded by a bunch of armor-piercing halberds. But the big boss comes in and debuffs Vilitch, or hasn't popped his debuff on him, but probably did and got some good shots off. Vilitch is at 58-58, so pretty jack stats, but his shields is down, so he's actually taking some pretty significant and permanent damage from that goblin big boss. Let's see. We got Wurzag, big chillin'. Wurzag hasn't really picked an engagement he wants to throw himself in. He's just been casting spells the entire time. And the good old Chaos Warriors are really healthy. I will say, actually, like, bringing all halberds against Greenskins is not the worst idea in the world at the moment, because of their cav superiority in a lot of ways. The Spiders plus Boar Boys, or Boar Boy Biggin specifically, is a very potent combo. And maybe, you know, in the thought process here, Umbrella was thinking that this counter might happen, so he brought less than he normally would. But we're going to see if the Black Orcs and the rest of the Greenskins can whittle down the Chaos core. Is there a crumpening? The crumpening is happening, dude. But it is happening very slowly. Slowly but surely. I think there's just not that much mobility left for Tzeentch here. We got some Marauder Horsemen. Come on, game. Some Marauder Horsemen for the Will here. Ooh, but, oh god. Wurzag and the guy hopping on Vilitch. That magic missile kind of whiffed. Wurzag pretty jacked from, I think it's Wa or perhaps Irigo, maybe Fistagork. Let's see, nope. Just from casting spells here, he's gonna, yep, here we go, coming on. If he gets, yeah, Fistagork on the Goblin, okay. And Vilitch, once Vilitch goes down, I think that is wraps for the game. I do not think, nope, he's dead. He needed to stay inside of these warriors, or maybe not expose the Severed Claw as kind of rashly as he did. Don't be rash, because they kind of hopped into the fight with the Black Orcs pretty early and got themselves damaged like pretty heavily at the beginning of the game, when you didn't really need to be that gung-ho, I would say. And the mobility fight just really went in the Greenskins' favor. Wurzag was able to big chill. Oh, is he on foot? Okay, no wonder he wasn't engaging a lot. He was just kind of chilling. But yeah, usually Vilitch actually would have a pretty good time fighting Wurzag, but not with the support of the Goblin Big Boss and all his buff spells active. It will be trouble even for a buffed up Vilitch, who I believe gets to like 62, which is pretty good. 62 melee defense is pretty solid, but it's more solid when you're surrounded by your shielded, barriered up Tzeentchian warriors who are now routing off because their lord is dead and they're surrounded by big, crumpy Black Orcs who are going to absolutely chop them up. So they're kind of derping out. Yeah, they should be doing some attack animations here, cleaning up shop, and pretty much that's it. I mean, these Marauder Horsemen coming in for a rear charge. The Boar Boys actually intercept them. They do have their shields, so they will absorb some of that charge, but start taking massive damage after. Even with a depleted unit of Boar Boys, they don't really stand a chance, and the rest of the army is there to support regardless. So I think that's a GG, but was a very good scrap for a little bit there between Will and Umbrella. Very entertaining for the boys. Krell metal? Yeah, Krek metal? Yep, so the crumpening did happen, Bone. You watched it firsthand. Crumpening. Sorry, my dogs were barking like the hellhounds that they are. The corn hounds that they are. And I am sipping on that high-quality H2O. I need to save that. Geos versus... Oh, mob. Okay. Oh, barely made it. I couldn't go back and fix it because the timer's too quick. Alright, hey, 69, baby. Oh, yeah. And, We got a good 13 value on the Vilitch. Very good stuff. He just didn't really find too much of a home there, and I think he stayed a little too separated from the Claw. You definitely want to work these guys in tandem. Claw actually got a good amount of kills, probably along a lot of Goblin Chaff, but still. You want to keep these three very close together for that passive shield regeneration and just for the protection of both units. Village provides some leadership and can do some AoE spells next to them to help win the fight. And then the units such as the 7 Claw can keep like Wurzag and the big boss from hastily trying to snipe him out. But other than that, there's a pretty good engagement line for Will there. The plan definitely had to be bust through the center, try to kill the Black Orcs, and then basically hold out against the majority large army of Wurzag from Umbrella here. If he had some of the healthy warriors in the late game with just basically these units, there's a lot of potential for him to win. Along with trying to isolate some of those units like he did with the Screamers. One of them stayed alive and got some pretty good value, isolating one of the Boar Boys. But it was just an overwhelmed tactic that the Greenskins excelled at. They beat them pretty much in the center, and more importantly as the flanks as well, pretty decisively. So it led to a pretty much caving in situation of the Tzeentch line. But GG to both. I was asking Pies Krellington in chat whether he was a player called Krell Metal. She apparently isn't. I thought about throwing in the towel immediately when I saw the Black Orcs. It's rough, yeah. If you see the Black Orcs, I mean, I think those Chosen can actually do a good job against the Black Orcs, but I would definitely say you would have needed the Tzeentch Gate spell or whatever. What is it? No, not Metal. We want not Kairos. Well, I guess it's all automatically on Metal, unfortunately. But if I could find a Tzeentch caster here. Okay, there we go. Infernal Gateway. It's 100% armor piercing damage. Alright. Overcast that bitch on some Black Orcs, and they're just toast. So I think you bring that just for infantry blobs, and blobs at the end, too. Like, in the late game, Cap Mod doesn't have, army losses, so typically the game's going to be slightly longer, depending on how the matchup is. So you can see. Hey Goji, we have a game ready if you want to host, or you can start without you, or spectate, I mean. Blue Fire is the best option here, my only tool to kill the Black Orcs. If you noticed, I was positioning the hit down the line of the Black Orcs. I didn't notice that, and that's my apologies as a spectator. I was looking for some pink fires, perhaps, on some of the goblins and some of the stuff. I didn't catch any of those, and I was going around a lot to try to catch multiple parts of the battle, so I'm sorry if I missed some glorious sniping there, but I'm pretty sure those Chosen just mopped up those Black Orcs pretty well in the initial engagement as well. Okay, Tasty Cheese, Zegzi, we have Numise 2. Okay, we'll go into this because we have 2 players and there's a spec. So we are ready to go. And then we'll go ahead and get that screen blocker up. What are we feeling? Do we want to keep Cholesterol Slan of the fat lore, or do we want to perhaps switch it up? Let me know in chat if you would like the screen blocker to change for this round. But other than that, we have a delicious Bellegar Iron Hammer versus Repanse, the glorious Crusader of the Bretonnians. We have the Space Marine Dwarf versus Joan of Arc reincarnated in the fiction fantasy universe. I came for NSG Slaanesh blockers. We do have some Slaanesh blockers, Bone, just not the NSFW ones, because I'm not even monetized, but if I do want to monetize one day, that is not good for said channel. Pone, when are we playing Age of Wonders, bro? Like, Turin has been dodging. Okay, and I can't say he's been dodging me, because really, like, I haven't been asking him, or you. But we need to play. So. Fight the establishment. Monetize Goji. I know, that's what I need to do. Well, next week, I actually have a lot of content planned. There's one of our helpers of the Duke, who helped make a lot of or some of the maps, and just with the mod development in general. Very good guy, very good guy. Has his own mod and has been playing tournaments with his mod in combination with ours. So I'm going to do some replays of that and some replays of this. So we have some stuff. Goji might actually become legit 2023, maybe. You heard it here, not first because I've said this 1,000 times, but maybe it might actually happen. All right, for the HQ of the Bretonnians, for the good old tactical lich, we have Repanse with Halo of Main. He has all the abilities pretty much. We got the Sword of Lioness, giving that juicy weapon damage buff. Holy shit. Then the good old Explosion to get her get out of jail free card, and the Fleur de Lis banner. I didn't realize she was mean in psychology. Very nice. Comes with a Paladin here, or Henry, the OG of Paladins. What does he have here? Just Guardian. Very nice. And Encourage. The Damsel with the Power Stone, Earthblood, and Dwellers Below. So actually, I do like that when players bring multi-use lures. I know people hate wasting money on spells they might not use, but I think just in case, if the build is variable, right, you might want to account for some changes with those extra spells just in case they bring something else that you're not expecting. For mobility, we have a Questing Knight, and anything else here? We got Questing Knight. So 3, possibly 4 Questing Knights. 4 Questing Knights. 1, 2, 3 licks to the center of a lollipop. 4 Field Trebuchets, and then a bunch of Peasant Mob with, Foot Squires. Very nice, very nice, very nice. They're very good stuff, yes. Okay. Yes. I do like Foot Squires when you can see them. And then 1 Battle Pilgrim to round it all off. Oh. For the Dawi, we got Bellegar, of course. What a Chad. Very cheap. So he brought him as vanilla. No abilities. I do like some of the abilities he has, but only in certain matchups when you know you're not going to be fighting a very armored opponent or lord. So you can try to snipe out with his weapon strength buff. But he's just as good chilling, being cheap as a just very, very decent cheap lord option. Like he's pretty good for like 1400 or whatever. So for the artillery, we have 3 cannons. Range consists of 1, 2, 3 Quarrelers. No Thunderers. We do have a 1, 2, 3. We have 3 Miners, one of them being the ROR, juicy ROR damage. And then a good old Iron Drake with the Troll Hammer Torpedoes for that anti-cav juiciness. We have Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. 2 regular Dwarf Warriors to accompany them. Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. And it looks like just a bunch of Dwarf Warriors here. And then some Slayers in the back. And he's calling it good. So kind of cheaper on the Dwarven infantry front, opting for more skirmish and a lot more artillery. And then for the Bretonnians, we're going a little more elite with 2 Foot Squires and then some juicy armor-piercing cav here with the lance formation to absolutely obliterate infantry here. Dwarves do have higher than normal mass. Let's see what the mass of this guy. 150. Okay, never mind. That's about the same, right? I think Peasant has like 100. Squires might even have the same. Yeah, 120-ish. That's fair enough. But yeah, the dwarves will crumple to those lance charges just as the same as pretty much anybody else. So he's got to be very careful when defending his artillery and skirmish here, because those armor-piercing cav are looking for some fresh booty to find. Oh, blocker. God damn it. Oh. Okay, there we go. Oh, god damn it. I should have looked. Yep. Pretty classic. Oh my god, I hate that shit so much. I might just start doing that thing where I just click off to the other screen so I don't have to put up a blocker. But that would be the bitch way out. I need my juicy blockers. They're part of my charm. Well, sorry about that, guys, but oh my god, these Warriors of Dragonfire Pass are getting obliterated by some trebuchets. The fire of artillery has begun, and the aim for the cannons is strictly on these Foot Squires, whereas the trebuchets are dumping their loads into the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. Very nice. But the surround of the questing knights is going to be the key engagement. Can the dwarves fend off the Cav of Bretonia? Pone called me out exactly for what I am, a filthy noob. The miners and the quarrelers definitely need to turn around and start shooting these guys. We need some more cohesion here, and some of the dwarf warriors need to get a lot closer to try to cut off these cav that are coming in. Now, luckily they're coming in solo. You do want to try to, do it at the same time here, and just get as much surround simultaneously as possible. Repanse and Henry and the damsel all running in together to just try to smash these warriors of the Dragonfire Pass as quick as possible. But Dawi leadership is quite astoundingly good, so it'll be hard to get a quick rout as he was probably hoping. The Battle Pilgrims will hang on there for a while, and those Wars of Dragonfire Pass may... Oh god, they're trying to chase through this unit, not very good. More surrounding on the questing knights here. Are they able to get into the cookie jar effectively? One questing knight peeled off and getting a good rear charge on these dwarf warriors. Armor piercing to the back of the dome is not fun. Ooh, the cookie jar is getting spoiled. Slayer's stopping a part of these questing knights, but the rest of them getting a full charge into those Iron Drakes. That is not good if you want the late game for the dwarves to be sustainable. The more the damage the skirmishing corps is taking early, the less damage they can do later on, obviously. So this is a huge blow to the dwarves. The front line seems to be semi-crumbling for them as well. All the trebuchets are online. Almost all. 2 of the cannons are still online, and if they are allowed crossfire here, firstly because of that little hill, they're going to have to waddle up and try to get a shot. But if the cannons can stay and get some crossfire onto the cav, maybe the dwarves can pull back this big mobility disadvantage. And as long as the Bretonians keep pushing in, I would keep pressuring. Don't let the dwarves outnumber you and try to get a full surround here, especially when you have these questing knights saturated into this blob. It is too bad Umaz doesn't have a rune caster for maybe a rune of wrath and ruin, as you could get a juicy explosion on all those Bretonian troops. Ironhammer, or the Iron Drakes are still alive. Ironhammer's over here, and he could totally engage a Repanse. I guess she is anti-infantry. It might be a bold move. But he is surrounding her with some great weapon infantry. It would be very nice. He's going to try to stop the cav charge to no avail. Stops 3 of them, which is impressive. Takes 1 out. But the rest are going to get into the skirmishing corps yet again. The stout dwarves are trying to hold off all the Bretonian infantry, and they will definitely win in a straight-up fight. You need those foot squires to get some good surrounds, and the peasantry to just kind of stop the dwarves from whittling down this cav, because essentially the cav will make or break it even in the late game, and if you just can't actually fully rout off or destroy these cannons and various skirmishing elements, might come back to bite you in the rump. Near the end, good old Iron Drakes. Big Trebs. Yeah, he definitely brought Treb spam. The Trebs are pretty glorious, and the Trebs are furious, and that actually might be one of the deciding factors as well. They definitely need to get more in range here. I think they need to move up a little bit. I see some Dwarf Warriors kind of running to try to defeat them, but the Questing Knights coming to intercept the good old Dwarf Warriors, and it is just going to be a rough day for the Dawi Czar. Not the Dawi Czar, just the regular Dawi. Just the regular guys. And just the other guys. But it is looking like a full surround for the Bretonians. They are going ham right into the Dawi no-no square. And a lot of their stuff got compromised pretty decently early. Some of the Quarrelers coming back. Going to try to get some shots off into the Bretonian forces. I mean, there's some peasantry left. I think the trebuchets are the things that concern me the most here. The dwarves may have potential to pull this back just because of Bretonian morale and infantry troop quality. But I think the hero squad's going to be rough. which is surprising. You don't see, you know, a dwarf hero squad lacking, but in this particular case, Bellegar by his lonesome is not going to have a fun time against Henry and Repanse. The damsel running for her life with a speed of 40. She actually outmatches Bellegar by quite a bit, even with his charge bonus. The dwarfs trying to make it to the Chebs in time are going to get run down by the much more mobile Cav, with some friendly fire from the trebuchets here, firing into the questing knights as they wrap up those dwarven great weapons. And yeah, I think that's where we're at. Yeah, we're getting around 6,000, 7,000 differential here in the value. Bellegar all alone. It was just a very the cookie jar was too numersome. There's a lot of skirmish elements that did not get to shine due to the just amount of pressure that Vilitch was able to deliver with his questing knights. And then the Trebs were able to reign free as well, and just overall was not great. Let's take a look at the terrain here. There's some bumps and lumps here, so it's hard for the cannons to get a good straight shot as well. So yeah, very, very rough. But I think ultimately it needed to be a little more tight in this Dawi formation. Try to get it right, get it tight, because those question knights are going to barrel through a lot of your infantry regardless. I think you just got to try to saturate them with as much fire and other shit as possible. Maybe you don't even need like as many quarrelers and just get more Iron Drakes here, because they put on the real power, whereas these quarrelers, yes, are going to be good against peasant archers, but won't probably trade the best into much else. I mean, I guess I just don't see what the targets are, right? You know, I don't see what you're going to be getting down with these quarrelers. I think even Thunders would be better for the more armored cav that Bretonnian can wield. But yeah, it looks like is Bellegar over here? Bellegar is over here. So he's good at just been chasing and staying away from the hero squad. But I think it's pretty much over, boys. I don't see the dwarves like really coming back from this. I will say that some of the Dawi, oh Jesus Christ. Yeah, I need to turn down some of this cinemax moving. It's a bit redonkulous. Peasant mob routing off some dwarf warriors. I'm probably going to do the same to these guys. Too little too late, unfortunately, for the compromising the field trebuchets. They are going to stay online for the rest of the game. That'll be that. Now I'm going to take a sip of water and clear my throat real quick, because it has gotten a bit scratchy. Dang. Wow, it did that thing where it just canceled not only the replay save, but the little continue thing. So I guess we don't get after battle analysis, but I botched that one anyways, as Pone can attest. We royally screwed up the army blocker here. But you live and you learn. So this was Dawi versus Brett mod. Let me start labeling them as mod, so I know that they are different, because I have some pretty good vanilla land battles as well. You can't wait to see the after battle stats. It's my favorite part. Pone's all like, oh. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it seems like our boy Pone like thoroughly destroys Turin in Age of Wonders. Seems like it's just a obliteration almost every other time. let's see, where are we headed next? Let's look at the roster here. So, who's made it so far into the second round, which was one of the games we just showcased, is Drazhoath, Manfred, Repanse, and Bellegar, who you just saw, who Repanse took the W, Lord Mazda Mundi, Wurzag, and then Zarina versus Morger, and Morger just took the W. So Repanse and Morger are going to be in the semifinals, and then it'll either be Manfred or Drazhoath versus Repanse, and it'll be Wurzag or Lord Mazda Mundi versus Morger. And then we'll have to see if anybody. Oh, did Dr. Nerd? Did you not get the? Um, we will have to see if there's anything else available here. Oh my god! Oh my god! Everyone just called me out on the blocker, dude. My DM is like a 10 fucking man list of just people being like, blocker, you fucking idiot. Oh, you stupid bitch. Oh god, bro. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. We were all pretty close. Okay, sure. On stream, it's just like it's the streamer curse. Then, dude, you just destroy him every time. I like hop over. I'm like, oh look, an Age of Wonder stream. Nice, nice. And then I just see just like Turin being like, if I had played Dark Culture, it would have been better. And then he just dies to like bones, like ridiculous, some ridiculous strat that he just pulled out of his ass. All right. Okay, looks like Lord Mazda Mundi beat the Prophet here. So very nice. Yep. Okay. Yep, yep, yep. Um, very good, very good. Block. Oh God, dude. I got like 15 pings for that. That was rough. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, do we I don't think we have anything else to do in the second round here. I believe we can go on to the Lord Mazda Mundi Morger game. So Zegzi and Platypus. I'll mention you in chat. But if you guys could open up a slot. Um, Otherwise, yeah, we'll get it rolling. There's one time a month or two ago where you cast an entire game with a blocker. Yeah, yeah, it was like a month ago. Yeah, and like so the funniest thing about that, right, was that that game, for some reason, I was like very much on point. Like I was just on my A game. So like I cast it with a blocker like an idiot, but everyone was like, "Wow, that was so good!" Like just applause. I was like, "Wow, thank you guys." And then I look up and I just have a blocker the entire time. I'm like, "Oh fuck!" I thought it was like being sarcastic, but I was like, "Yeah, it was just fucking. It was hilarious." I was like, "Yo, how did I waste like a very good like cast with just a blocker right smack dab in the middle of the screen?" It was so hilarious. It was just the ultimate self cuck moment. It's just rough. All right, so I guess let's see. Tasty cheese, huh? Let's see, Rissa World Edge. That seems like the semifinal. So, whoever is Tasty Cheese here, the Tasty Cheese lobby, please let me enter. Let me enter. I'm like a vampire, you have to invite me in, okay? Yerp, yerp, yerp. Um, so what? They're every lord available. So yeah, here's the cool thing, Pone. Right now, because of the size of the tournament, there's only multiple games in the finals. But how it works is for every lord you beat, you collect that lord. So at the end, there's a best of three, and you have every lord that you've beaten or your lord that you chose from the beginning with you in the finals. So the best of three, you can choose like, oh, so I won with Drazhoath and I like beat Wurzag, you know, Altharion and I don't know, fucking know, Inkari. Then you'd have those three as like your backups in the finals for the next three. So yeah, um Lich would have let's see here. He'd have Bellegar, and then if he wins, he would have Drazhoath as well if he beats the Gentle Rat. So unfortunately, someone did not give me their code, and I wanted to cast the next thing, and I wanted it. Yeah, I love Lich, but I wanted it to be the other people. So Zexy and Platypus, shut up! Open the slot, you motherfuckers! But it's okay. We'll just go with a Lich once he has his opponent ready. It'll be good to go. Show me where to go. Yeah. Pixor didn't happen. Yeah, yeah. Umbrella brainstormed that idea, and it's really fun. I really enjoy it. So it's like if we do end up getting like a bigger tournament going, and like the semifinals can like have like a best of three or whatever, um, then you'll have like these lords that you've picked up that you can play with, depending on what the mat, what you know. So it's an interesting concept. I like it a lot, actually. Makes it very thematic. Yeah, so we're waiting on somebody. Somebody give me. I think Zegzi um and Platypus already started their game, so we'll just hop back in here with Lich, and I believe we're gonna be waiting for the Gentle Rat, and I'll actually ping him in chat to see if he's ready to play tactical here. Gentle Rat. And yeah. I got the pics, but I'd end up on a registry. Jesus Christ, what pics are we talking about? The Repanse OnlyFans feet pics? I'm pretty sure that's what Lich is subscribed to. No, that's not. Yeah, so if let's see all the possible combinations then. So we have the Lord Mazda Mundi player playing off against Morger. That's the game that is currently going on. The one we're waiting on is going to be Drazhoath versus Repanse. If Repanse wins, they will have Repanse, Bellegar, and Drazhoath as their squad. If Drazhoath wins, he actually has an additional one because he started in round one and there was like a whole set of buys for round two because there's that many people who signed up. So the Drazhoath player would have Drazhoath, Manfred, and then Repanse. So on the opposite side of the semifinals, we have Lord Mazda Mundi versus Morger. So Lord Mazda Mundi, if he gets into the finals, will have Mazda Mundi, Wurzag, and Morger. And if Morger gets into the finals, he will have himself, Zarina, and Lokir Fellheart. So there you go. There you go. It'll be an interesting motley assortment here. Then I guess I can I can stream the bracket here while we wait, because it seems like oh, General Rat just had to run to the bathroom, so he's all good. He's about to head in here. Let's get the blocker up. Oh, it's the blocker, boys. We all know what happens. Phone requested some Slanesh thing, so we'll see if we can provide. Don't really have like a specifically Slanesh thing, just because that feels like it would be rough. But we do have some Chaos ones, so I think we'll go with. I know Pone is a anime guy, so we'll go with the anime Chaos poster here. We'll go it over here, so the oh, there we go. There we go. We got the anime girls personified in chaos, baby. Turin, yeah, Turin hates. It's so funny that Turin like it partly is like partly fluent in Japanese, but just like hates anime. That's the funniest shit to me. It's like it's like what that's so funny. Like because he's like so involved in like so many other aspects of like nerd culture, and then he just like looks at weed and just like disgusting. Even though he's like painting models in his fucking garage, you're like, yeah, look at Carol Franz. It's like, come on, bro, you hating? He's a hater. He's a player. He's welcome to the player haters ball of Dave Chappelle. But yeah, so we are going to be seeing Repanse de la Joan of Arc versus Drazhoath, the infernal leader of the Legion of Asgore. Drazhoath is definitely my favorite, like, Lord of the Chaos Dwarfs as well, mostly because he has a dope-ass mount named Cinderbreath, who's just the coolest-looking Bale Taurus you've ever seen. Um, Also, right now, Astrogoth is a little busted. Once Astrogoth gets a little more balanced, I think I'll enjoy playing him more, because it's not fun when you play a game and then everyone, like, people will play the game, but then they'll just look at you with absolute disdain as soon as Astrogoth appears. They're just like, oh, you brought him, you piece of shit, you know. So it's like I'll like him when he's like playable and not completely wacky, you know. And then Zatan is just, I don't know, he seems boring to me, but he has some cool abilities. He has some interesting abilities like the immune to contact effects thing, and you know, his net, some other stuff. He has some tricks up his sleeve. But I mean, Astrogoth and Drazhoath are hard to deny because they're just, I mean, they're caster lords. They're still pretty goddamn good in melee. There's a lot to love, and Zatan unfortunately just Zatan the bed, in my opinion, because he just doesn't have those extra resources attached to him. But he's definitely still a cool character. I like the look of him. He almost is more traditional than the rest of the lords in terms of his outfit and theme. But yeah, I love the look of Chaos Dwarfs, man. I've been waiting for him for so long. I know like a ton of other Warhammer fans could say the same. There's just something special when I was playing Call of Warhammer, Medieval 2 mod for the Warhammer conversion, and oh boy, were Chaos Dwarfs fun in that shit, man. Their artillery was so dope. Like the Dreadquake mortar, not that great in this game. In Medieval 2, holy fuck. This thing would obliterate units if it landed. So the thing was, it was very inaccurate, which if you played Medieval 2 multiplayer, you would know what I'm talking about. Like, people would ban artillery not because they're good, but because they're so RNG. So, like, one game, You could have artillery just not pay for itself at all and be just the absolute reason you lose and just you're crying in despair. And the next game, it like snipes their lord just right off the bat, obliterates their cav unit, and they're just dead. And you're just like, well, that's game. It's like you just win in like 10 seconds. All right, guys, I know you really want this blocker up. I know you really want it, but I'm gonna have to deny you. I'm sorry. This time, I have to show some restraint. I can't give you what you want. I have to put away the blocker. I'm sorry. Oh, all right. So we're going to the Rest of the World Edge, probably one of the doper looking maps for sure. We got some good chaos goodies. And if you've seen Indie Pride's video on it, he just starts the video with just like staring right into this horrific looking orifice here. And yeah, it's quite disgusting. I don't know how many different influences of the different gods. It feels like Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and then I don't see where Slaanesh is. But it is what it is. We're going to start off with the Bretonnian good old HQ. So of course we have Repanse, and she is on her horse. All three of the HQ is mounted on horses. And I think I am going to tune down the cinematic smoothing just a little bit. That was a little absurd. Movement speed can go a little down as well. Apply changes. There we go. Okay, somehow that made it worse. I don't know what happened. Okay. Damsel with scroll shielding, very nice, and power stone, and then a multitude of spells. Actually, just one more. The flesh to stone, very nice. So she's almost like much more kitted out than previous. And where did the Henry go? Oh, he's moving around his units a lot. But Henry probably just is bare bones, I would assume. Yep, just Guardian. We called it good. We have 3 Trebs, not as quite as many as last time. And then we have, Grail Knights. So Grail Guardians, I would say, are the much better pick now, just because of their tankiness. But Grail Knights definitely still pack a punch if you allow them to get their charges. And with the good old formation, Lance, Lance formation, they will definitely wreck shop if given the chance on infantry and cav alike. Defenders of Fleur-de-Lis are a very good unit as well, with Frenzy and all that good juiciness. So, for the HQ of, well, actually, wait. What else did they have? I guess just battle, or men-at-arms and peasants. Okay, there you go. That's all I left out. For the HQ of the Chaos Dwarves, we have Drazzy Draz with just Ashstorm, very bare bones, on foot, no Cinder Breath to be seen. We have good old Dark Renown, very nice. Hell Shard Amulet, so he actually is a little bit better in melee, gets some resistances there. And that's about all she wrote for the Draz. Then we have a Deathcaster with just Spirit Leech and Reforge. And then a glorious and epic fucking goddamn Kadai Destroyer, baby. Oh, yeah. We do not see these boys often. I love the armor color on this one. Very Cornish. Oh, very cool, man. I love to see this unit brought, even though it is not brought often. We have 2 Hobgoblin Skirmish Raiders in the midst, in the vanguard here, in the midst of the forest. We have 2 Orc Laborers, 1 on each flank. The glorious Fireglaves. This guy is winning. Gentle Rat is winning all points for me because he has the Fireglaves, one of my favorite units, just in the game period. They have armor piercing, huge damage on the missile strength there, but also anti-large capabilities for their halberd weapons, or halberd glaive rifles. Very cool shit. And then 1 Bull Centaur Renderer with the great weapons, so he was able to afford 1. Usually want to bring those when you can, because they're pretty busted, but they're also just good in general. And then a line of cheap Goblin Laborers. The Kadai Destroyer walks up, and we will surely see some Trebs unleashing their hell, probably into those Fireglaves. Unfortunately, we're not seeing any artillery from the Chaos Dwarves this day, so we will not be seeing that counter-skirmish pressure. He is actually leaving behind these Fireglaives intentionally, maybe moving them to the forest. I don't know if that's a great idea. They do have anti-large, so they can be actually pretty good in a drawn-out scrap against cavalry, but not saying they like to take the charge to the face either. You can brace them and give them their charge defense versus large bonus. They still take a good amount of damage, especially against a lance formation like questing knight. Do we have any questing knights? No. But we do have some Grail Knights who just have a shit ton of charge bonus and will deal good damage off that. I am interested to see what they're going to do against the Kadai. We don't have any archers. We don't have any questing knights. So we really don't have any good source of armor-piercing damage for this lad. And we have a caster who can heal him back up with the Reforge. Give him 0.8% healing. For how long? Almost 20 seconds. Very good stuff. So this Kadai might be able to put this game on his back. Unfortunately, with the lack of hobgoblins near the formation and the bull centaurs being only 1 in number, it's going to be very hard for the Chorfs to be as responsive in their movements against these cav charges. It's going to be very rough. You might want to have a little more mobile elements when facing Bretonnia, as they can do some hit and run stuff and just absolutely rout off your chaffy frontline goblin laborers, who, given any amount of flak, will pretty much lose to the peasants. That's why I think they might need to be a little cheaper, because they are just straight up like pretty much more ass than the peasant mob. I mean, they have slightly more health than some other things, but peasant mob basically are better for like 50 cheaper, which is pretty good. Ooh, okay, wait. Do we see I totally ignored the magma cannon. The fool of a took. So there is a magma cannon, and it rightfully sliced right in between those tree branches there, into the Knights Errant. Very nice. Another one landing down, doing some good damage to the cav, and that's what you want to see. You want to whittle down this cav. We do have the orc laborers. They might want to stay here and wait for those defenders to move, because they are going to try to get into the cookie jar. But I will say the crossfire from these Infernal Guard might actually deal a lot of damage. These Infernal Guard turn around, just start obliterating those defenders as they charge through. Yep, they're getting some shots off. Damn, even through the trees, they're dealing shit tons of damage, just because of that high weapons missile strength, that when they do land, they are going to deal some significant damage to a low model count unit such as Cav. You will be seeing Henry and Repanse jumping on the Kadai. Probably the only thing that actually can deal significant damage to them, besides like a full Cav surround. The good old Draz and the Demon Smith, along with the Bull Centaurs, though, should be able to stop these guys dead in their tracks. And this might be a huge debate depending on how much support and if Repanse can get out of this. With a fire weakness now, the Destroyer's coming in to try to get some attacks. You might want to be careful. You want to keep those guys trapped with these Bull Centaurs. You push too much with the Kadai and he might actually shove them, to safety. You might want to get these guys surrounded so you can keep Repanse in that formation, and just use the Kadai to rout off some infantry or maybe provide some support to some Cav. It looks like those Defender Fleur-de-Lis got absolutely mollywopped by the Infernal Guard with Fireglaives. Yeah, I'm not seeing them in the field anymore. This crucial engagement is really rough. Repanse managed to escape, but Henry less fortunate. Draz, you might want to turn this Kadai Destroyer. You don't want to let these HQ pieces run away. It's going to be really rough. Yep, and they get away. Super unfortunate. You had the surround with the Bull Centaurs. I think using the Kadai was actually kind of not the correct choice in that particular scenario, because you had a freebie on both Henry and Repanse. They are pretty heavily damaged, but as long as that damsel stays alive, it'll be alright in terms of sustainability for the healing of the heroes and the Cav. Does get terrified away, but is also on a horse with 78 speed, so it can easily get away from Draz and Demon Smiths. The help of the Grail Knights are actually a very valid target on this Kadai Destroyer. It will be rough for the Kadai Destroyer, especially now that the Hero Squad is intact. It is definitely viable for that thing to die. The rough thing is more so that the value lead is quite heavy for the Chaos Force now. The Infantry Corps for Bretonnia is just immense. In addition to a lot of the pieces of the power pieces of Chorfs being alive, this is kind of the rough predicament that a lot of factions have against. Ooh, look at this Kugath. Is he going to go down? Because he got surrounded by Henry and the Grail Knights? Yep. Yes, he is. And this thing is going to die even with Reforge being procced on it once. It has met its maker. Unfortunately, it's going to explode. Does that have exploding damage, maybe? Or just falls to its little sad death here. Crumbles to the ground. Yep. What a glorious beastie. Did some good work, but unfortunately got a little too overzealous and actually screwed the pooch when it came to dealing with that hero squad. If the Bull Centaurs had gotten his full surround and kept them in their place, would have been death for sure. Now the shift after that thing died has been huge, and Tactical Lich is crawling back up into this game. The Grail Knight's getting a good charge, like I said. Cycle charging against these Infernal Guard will still prove very rewarding for these knights with their high charge bonus off of the lance formation. You don't want to stay too long in prolonged combat, because those Fireglaives do have armor-piercing anti-large damage to be wary of. Drazhoath by himself is no big threat. It's more so the Bull Centaurs that are scary here. Henry can deal some good damage to them, but I really think you might want to try to slap this area with a Dwellers Below if you have the mana, because that is what will probably rend down those Bull Centaurs. And I would say after you get those Bull Centaurs down, you're in the clear. The only things you have to clear left are the Infernal Guard, and after that, which it's not hard once they're the only things left, because the Field Trebuchets will just rip them apart over time, with like 8 ammo a pop left basically. Pretty rough stuff. So the only thing now is that Repanse and Henry are a little too deep in. The Life Caster is routed off. If she comes back and can get a fat Dwellers, perhaps, but looks like the HQ is getting beaten up pretty bad by the full surround of armor-piercing Orc Laborers combined with the Bull Centaurs, and Drazhoath just kind of chilling, slapping them with his fiery stick of hatefulness. And Henry not in the situation he wants to be in anymore. A charge from the Grail Knights will absolutely obliterate these Orc Laborers. It wasn't, I guess, the cleanest charge. Maybe the corpse of the Kugath actually shielded some of these Orc Laborers from their certain demise at the hands of these Grail Guardians. Or Grail Guardians? Or are they Grail Knights? Yeah, Grail Knights. Henry charging into the rear of these Bull Centaurs. You can get some good chip damage, but if you get surrounded, it's going to be equally as rough. Grail Knights will clean up shop on the Bull Centaurs, and should. But can the HQ of the Bretonnians recover? We have the Damsel. We have the Repanse. Ooh, another Spirit Leech going down on her. I think she might be dead, friends, unless she gets healing right now. She will probably die to the Spirit Leech. Yep. If not... Oh, she doesn't... Oh, wow. She survives with 168 HP. But enough to bring her to a danger level that she is not comfortable with, and she will be running away for her life. That will call the end of the game. Mod. Gert. Versus Gert. Yeah. That was a very good game. That was a very good game indeed. I think that was pretty fun. Pretty close. And I liked what Lich did here. I think it was just it's rough knowing when to commit against those Bull Centaurs. I think you need to be very careful when you do. I think he had a heaven sent gift when he dived, got a little too greedy. The bulls surrounded him, but then the Kugath destroyer left, and then he got that huge pick on that destroyer later in the game. Very good. Yeah, polite of everyone. I know, right? So I think there was a huge gift there. I think the trebuchets would have cleaned up the rest of the infantry. I think you needed to kind of regroup, maybe heal your HQ, and then try to get a collective charge or flank with Grail Knights onto these Bull Centaurs. And I know it's rough in the moment. You know, it's easy for a caster to say do this, this, and that, but you know, that's objectively, you know, probably what would have been the better call at the end of the day. But GG's to both players. Very good value on some of these Grail Knights. Very good, decent value on the Condited Story for what it is. Of course, Bull Centaurs being gross, and the Infernal Guard pulling their weight. Very nice stuff. So there you go. Yeah, overall, very exciting match. Very fun. Okay. Yeah, misused one of the Grail Cab and cost me the game. Yeah, I think it was your defenders got absolutely roasted by the he had a weird little setup, man. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Bull Centaurs were the crux of this game, but regardless if you limit them to two or three, he only brought one for sure. Yep. And then yeah, the Grail Cav. I think it was just trying to regroup at the end. If you could manage to regroup your HQ, your heroes and stuff, you would have been solid. Because once you picked that Kadai, I genuinely thought it was game. I was like, okay, he runs away with Henry and Repanse, gets the Grail Guardians. If he has the Damsel, you can heal him up. But then all you need to do is isolate those Bull Centaurs. Because once you kill the Bull Centaurs, pretty much you're home free, I think. After you kill the Bull Centaurs, you were solid. If he positioned the Iron Sworn, or not the Iron Sworn, the Fire Glaives appropriately, it could have been rough. And that's where I think the counterplay would have been. But, yeah. Finals is best of three. Yep, and you use all the stuff. So let's take a look at our bracket. So Lord Morger beat Lord Mazda Mundi, and Drazhoath just beat Repanse. So the finals will be RTK Platypus versus the Gentle Rat. The Gentle Rat's starting lord would be, or you know, his original lord would be Drazhoath, and he has collected Repanse, Manfred, and what is this? Dr. Nerd. Kugath Plague Father. Okay, I didn't realize he collected Kugath. So you would have those four lords here. And then four Platypus, who played since round one as well. He would have Morger, uh, Lokir, Zarina, and Mazda Mundi. So that is an interesting combo. I wish I had like a little UI thing to put up here. And maybe I will actually for future tournaments now that I'm kind of getting the hang of this, or getting more regular with these Legendary Lord Capmon tournaments. I'll put up some UI so we can have the like roster of the Legendary Lords at the end. Yeah, so we have a Beastmen backed up by Lizards, Kislev, and Dark Elves versus a Chaos Dwarf backed up by the Bretonnians, Vampire Counts, and a Nurgle. Very weird alliance of boys here. Let's get right into it. I'm hyped. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's get that blocker up. Blocker. Okay. I'm not even sure if Pone's still around, so we're gonna change this filthy anime one into, let's see here. We have a bunch of different stuff we can pick from. You can go Captain Crump. We'll into Captain Crump, yes. Yes, there we go. Look at him. Bloody Squig and get cereal. Oh, yes. Very good stuff, boys. And so it looks like the first game is going to be Chorfs versus Lizards, but that may change. That's just what they have up in the lobby so far. I'm not exactly sure. For the Lizards, remember, you can only go Lord Mazda Mundi. Chorfs is only going to be Drazhoath. And yeah, we'll see what's up. I think the finals will be Nolan Outskirts, Alter the Champion, and the Foot of Anulai. Yes. Oh yeah. All right. But yeah, I don't know if I who was around here when I said it the first time, but I would highly recommend Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's a very solid film, very fun. I think my parents are going out to see it tonight as well. They took my recommendation seriously. So yeah, we'll see how they like it, but I enjoyed it very much. It was quite the fun experience. Just overall, I think probably the one of the better films in the MCU in general. But I also think you would definitely want. I think you get the full experience out of it by watching Guardians, 1, 2, and then 3, and then if you want even more context, you could go ahead and watch the Avengers as well for some of their extra featured stuff. Um, but really, just watching 1, 2, and 3 will set you up very, very great for this third one. But again, I don't think you even need that, and it's still standalone a very, very good film. I think it's very fun. So, yep. Yep. And yeah. Uh, once we find out the pickaroos, we can see the little matchup developing here. See what lords are coming out first. See which lords are coming out to play. And that way we can discover who's going to be the first round in this swell bout. Gentle Rat, Drazhoath, Manfred, and Kugath. Platypus, Morger, Lokir, Mazda. Okay, those are the. Are you saying those are the picks in general? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm more so waiting for the glorious pick or matchup that we are seeing in the first round. Although I do need to get some UI for the legendary lord. Oh, they play in that order. Okay, great. So it's gonna be okay. Yep. So it's gonna be straight up like just yeah that. So Draz versus Morger, Lokir versus Manfred, and Kugath versus Mazda. There we go. Exciting stuff. So, oh, excuse me. In the Chaos Dwarf Beastman matchup, I think it is interesting. I mean, as Beastman, you definitely are the aggressor. You are not forced to do anything as Chaos Dwarfs per se. And it's more so just about protecting your valuable assets at this point. I will say that Beastmen have a lot of good tools for getting into the cookie jar. That being said, Chaos Dwarves don't necessarily have to have a cookie jar if they don't want to. They can go decently heavy on rush. They don't have a lot of good mid-tier troops, so you will be seeing a combination of chaff and very elite troops typically. Right now, because of the armor-piercing missile of like the Iron Sworn and their ROR Dwarf Warrior unit, you will be seeing a lot of what is going on? Oh, it's just someone taking a shower. Okay. Sumo wrestling final. Yes, exactly. The good old Mazda Kugath, yeah. And Yeah, so I think it just depends on the dynamics of the builds that they bring and how they're approaching the situation. And then essentially, if we're going to see very skirmish, very, ranged asset heavy Chaos Dwarfs, then it is going to be the name of the game to see how long they can keep those online and how well the Beastmen can crack it. Otherwise, it's going to be a very cycle charging and trying to find the weakest points to exploit that the Beastman can find on a very melee heavy rush build that Chaos Dwarf could also bring into the fray. But it will mean that the Beastmen typically will have more control of the battlefield if the Chorfs do decide to bring heavy ranged shit. Because yes, they're pressuring them to move, but also they have less troops to, whatever. So yeah, hopping into it, let's see the builds. And we got Draz versus Morger, the good old Legion versus the Horde. And it's a Legion, quote unquote, but it's really more just like a slave driving party, because holy shit, it's a lot of slaves, as per usual, or laborers. My bad. They're laborers. They're getting paid. I promise you, paid in teeth and sweat. No, funnily enough, orc culture actually, their currency revolves around teeth, which is very funny. But yeah, so I wonder if that actually is a thing. I wonder if they just like pay them in teeth and they think it's like a good value for just like being just slaves. All right. For the HQ of the Chaos Dwarfs, we just have Drazzy Draz on Cinderbreath this time, so my favorite version of him. And for some reason he counts as a hero. When he does that, it's a bugged unit cap, tragically. But Ash Storm and Dark Subjugation, a debuff, cheap debuff. You don't see that often, so very nice. What other abilities do we have? We just have the Killing Fire, the passive, which is very nice. Can deal some good AoE damage there, just as a passive is cool. You definitely can spam it with some Dark Subjugation for the cheap. And then we have the Hellshard Amulet as well for that reflection and physical resist, or ward save, just straight up, I believe. We have the Granite Guard. Very cool unit. The longer they sit in position, the longer range and accuracy they get, I believe. See if we can go and find their plus 40 range, plus 15 missile resistance, and charge defense. Expert charge defense. Very nice. So if you have more ranged assets, I would say these guys are actually better because you want to stay in position relatively for a long time. And 25 seconds is actually a significant amount of time, even with bigger maps on the cap point mod. But I digress. For the front line, we have Goblin Laborers, 2 Orc Laborers in the flanks, and then 2 Chaos Dwarf Warriors, one being the ROR, very good. Armor-piercing missile, kind of a satchel charge there, that's very gross. Then we have 2 of the classic Bull Centaurs. And I believe, is there a war machine of some kind? No? Yes, no, maybe so? No. Looks like that's all she wrote. For the Beastmen, and the Morger, we have the classic Morgar thing, Spirit Essence of Chaos, Stave of Ruinous Corruption, and just all his goodies indeed. We have the Butchers of Kalkengard, very cool. They actually look like cows, which is the most dope part about these boys. They have the most glorious skin of an ROR you've ever seen in your life. And the juicy Jabber Slice. Now this thing is ripe to get destroyed in this particular build and matchup, but very good at getting into those blobs in case the Chaos Dwarfs did bring a very, a melee-centric build. They could be very good at blob busting those elite troops. Centaurs, out the kazoo, we have... Oh, actually, no, we just have 2 of them. One, it seems, is the axe throwers, one is the regular, then of course a bunch of Ungor bullshit. Oh, a sneaky shamansies, the Bray Shaman with Mantle of Gorok. Wow, that is an interesting one. Okay, wonder where he's going to target with Mantle of Gorok. I guess butchers maybe perhaps or some other stuff, but interesting. Okay, a lot of ungors as expected, right? Very, very cost efficient, good cheap chaff for the beastmen that are just good at holding front lines for a little bit while your mobility does its thing. And then do we have two? Yep, two Razor Gore Herd. So no high ranged for the Chorfs. That Granite Guard is going to be probably moving, so its ranged unfortunately will not get that buff until 25 seconds after said thing. Oh, God. I'm sorry, guys. But, Drazhoath smashing into Ungor Herd. They're very yellow. I guess it's the, Jesus Christ, why are they so yellow? Is it just the skin? Yeah, it must be the skin. Because these guys are very yellow too, yeah. Okay, so it's just the art, or the color palette for the banner that was chosen by the Beastmen, but they're all very yellow. They look like that one dude from Sin City at the end where he's all like yellow and gross. Drazhoath patrolling. They see me rolling. Because Ungors are pretty juicy and susceptible to terror routes, he can get some freebies there. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he got some breaths off at them just early to get them to fuck off and not try to beat up on your laborers too much, because the laborers will actually lose to Ungor Spearmen, Ungor Herd, or anything in the ilk. They are true scum of the earth trash, those goblin laborers are. The Chaos Dwarf Warriors will actually do fine and hold off these guys excellently. A charge with the Bull Centaurs will help as well. The Razor Gores counter-charging them, so maybe some armor-piercing damage can get in there, but still not the best targets for them. They definitely want to get a clean charge on those Chaos Dwarf Warriors if possible. The Shroud is going very well. The Goblin Laborers need to respond and probably dunk into the... Oh my god. Absolute obliteration of those Ungors. Kind of a waste of the volley because they are shitty Ungors, but just absolutely obliterates that unit. The good old Drazi chillin' using the Ash Storm to get some extra damage with the Fire Glaives into this blob here, potentially into the Jabberslight as well. Butchers and Calkin's Guard taking an absolute metric shit ton from the Granite Guard. Oh my god. But they do manage to break right through those Goblin Laborers and hop into melee with them. Again, the Granite Guard are no joke, though, in melee, much like a lot of the Chaos Dwarf units. They do have multi-use, so they're not usually that bad in melee as well, which is a very strong component of the Chaos Dwarf kind of roster in general. Is the labor units are pretty shitty and lackluster, but the Dwarf units are usually pretty multi-use and strong for their price, even though they are somewhat costly, for sure. But the front line of this Chaos Dwarf formation is breaking pretty rapidly as the Jabberslight and numerous Ungor hordes beat through all the laborers and get into the cookie jar of the Infernal Guard, who, albeit are pretty good melee and will eventually beat Ungor Herd, will not beat a cycle-charging Razor Gore, Centigore blob of doom. The one concern, I will say, for the Beastmen is getting down Draz. He will definitely have to be left until late game. A good breath came down, got some good damage on these guys, but Morger, being a Chad, keeping those Ungors in line, and he's pretty tanky. Unfortunately, he does have regeneration, so he has a 20% inherent weakness to fire, and Draz will play no games and absolutely start curb stomping him, giving him the additional 20% weakness from Ash Storm. So Draz is going to absolutely Lord Snipe the shit out of Morger, and if the Beastmen aren't careful, this could be game right here. Very isolated, away from the Jabberslight, away from the Centigores. Razor Gore's nowhere to be found, and unfortunately, it looks like what once was a good collapse is now faltering on the lines of these sturdy Chaos Dwarf Warrior units. The Beastmen didn't appear to have the punching power required to quite finish them off, and Draz really has no counter here. The Centigores with great weapons. The Centigores with great weapons. Centigores with throwing axes were probably your only hope, because they're armor piercing, and the Butchers. But Butchers got absolutely just they're salad tossed by those Granite Guard, man. That was a brutal volley. A lot of Vanguard options on this map, but I guess BM playing it straight up. Yeah, yeah, it was interesting. I think you could definitely use the Vanguard zones to your advantage in this particular map, and you definitely want to try to use that when you have it. Because it can definitely get the surprise on them. But a lot of those Beastman units ran right around the formation anyways. There's more so just trying to collectively break the Infernal Guard and deal with the Bull Centaur renders, and it's just really rough. I think this is not a great matchup for Beastman simply because the Bull Centaur renders trade so good into so much of the roster. I think you need range to deal with these guys, but until they get unbugged where range doesn't do a lot of damage to them, it's going to be a rough matchup for sure. But GG, well fought to both players. That was a very, very good match. On to the next one with a Manfred versus Lokir. And if Manfred takes the dub here, that will be the end of the tournament, and the Gentle Rat would have taken the W. But Platypus is coming in hard with those Dark Elf boyos. Yes. Alright, we'll put the Captain Crump back up. Very good stuff. Yeah, it was a pretty good build. No complaints here. Yeah, it's just, it is, I think you needed the Gorgons in order to deal with Bull Centaurs and Draz, unfortunately. And, you know, there's some matchups where I think you don't need to go single entity spammage. But in rougher matchups, I think Beastman's strongest, like, HQ and Monster Core is, like, possibly double Gorgon or at least one Gorgon because they're very good at cycle charging, very good at healing in combat, and just they do a shit ton of damage on the charge. Just they are world beaters, man. They're very good at their job. One of the best anti-large single entities in the game, period. And they have this really slick walk on their little tippy toes where they can just run out of infantry formations like they're nothing as well. So it's pretty juicy stuff in terms of utility there. Oh yes, I'm loving this build so far. The vampire counts, and then we see some shenanigans from the Dark Elves as well. It's all good. Yes, it's all very, very juicy. It's gonna be quite the showdown. One map around Altar of the Champion. Yeah, very nice. Altar of the Champion, very big map, spacious map. Very, very solid choice here. I think there's another map that's like exactly like this one, but it just has hills around it, which is an interesting one. I think that one is it's pretty gimmicky, but it's pretty fun to play on as well. You can like march your armies around the hill and try to like use line of sight shenanigans. Well, I don't know if it's the most competitive, but it is very fun. All right. Dude, what do you guys think? Do you think Manny's gonna take it, or do you think Lokir's gonna cut him up? Gonna tear him apart in melee. What are you guys' thoughts? We team Manny or team Loki? Loki. Team Loki. Oh, But yeah, neither of these factions I personally play a bunch, but I do like watching them played, especially when it's like by decent players, because I always like getting insights into, new factions that I may not really have interest in playing myself, but I may pick up one day. I've my list has expanded so much from when I first started playing in game one, where it was just like greenskins, and that's the only thing I had interested in. Now, one of four factions. Now we're 20 factions later, but um, the dynamics of this game never cease to amaze me when it comes to all the builds and interactions and matchups and all this stuff. I mean, there's just a wealth of stuff to go over for like years to come, basically. And as the meta shifts for like different DLCs, obviously that plays a factor into it and blah blah blah. But like generally speaking, unless they do big sweeping changes, not like a ton of dynamics change, but there's so many different matchups and so many different builds that like it doesn't need to change that often in order for it to stay like relatively fresh for me, because it's like you have so many different choices. And God, Lucy, you barking bastard. I'll go calm down the loose in a second here if she refuses to stop barking in a few minutes. But until that, we're gonna go over the army comps. Actually, I'm gonna go stop her right now. She's being ridiculous. I'll be right back as they set up. Alright. I think she has been silenced for now. Mostly our other dog, who's older, who antagonizes her. Because she's all old and crusty and knows she can get away with trouble more so. She starts barking and then our younger dog goes crazy. Okay, so Manfred von Karstein is the only HQ we got on the field. We got Van Hale's Dance Macabre, the Fate of Buna, and Spirit Leech, along with Raise Dead and Invocation to Heck. Now, because he has super gross mana regeneration here in terms of the Sword of Unholy Power, he can get a lot of mana and relatively like be able to cast a majority of those spells if he wishes it. For the mobility, we basically just got two Vargeists. A unit that for a lot of Total War's like history has not been traditionally great, but is now recently very, very good. One Blood Knight, and then a shit ton of Karen Wraiths. We have four of those guys. 5 zombies, and then three Skeleton Spearmen and 1 Skeleton Warrior. For the Dark Elves and Lokir, we have him on, I forgot the dragon's name. I'm sorry. But he has the Dreaded Duelist and the Helm of the Kraken, along with Merciless Slaver. Very good stuff. We have a Deathcaster with Spirit Leech and Fate of Buna as per usual. We have 1 Scourge Runner, which I'm not sure how good Scourge Runners are into vampires particularly. Maybe you can pressure Manfred a bit. That might be my guess. For the mobility, we got 1 Cold One Knight, 2, I'd assume 2 Dark Riders. Yep, 2 Cold One Knights. Then we have 3 Blackheart Corsairs with hand crossbows, and then 1 Blackheart Corsair, a Witch Elf, and 2 Spearmen. Very asymmetrical little formation there. It bugs me aesthetically, but seems to be a pretty solid build. Very hybrid melee, a lot of skirmish. Maybe to shoot down the potential crypt horrors that might have been coming his way. Ooh, Scourge Runner's getting trapped up. Manfred getting some really good hits. Luckily no models bleed here. But the not Seraphon, whatever his name is, I don't know what that dragon's name is. But he hops in, deals a little bit of damage. Unfortunately doesn't get a great charge onto Manfred and his dragon mount. But yeah, he's now trying to escape. The cold from the Karen Wraiths might actually prevent him from doing so. Nope, it looks like he's going to be able to get off scot-free as he jukes out of the way. And now some of the skirmish for the Dark Elves are coming in to pepper down the Vargeists and Manfred. The main entourage of skeletons and Karen Wraiths are moving forward, and we do have a still crouching, hidden Blood Knight in the forest there waiting to pounce. And a Fate of Buna looks like is going to probably absolutely delete those Karen Wraiths. Or then, yeah, probably not shoot the Dark Riders with their armor piercing, but just use these hand bows and just get rid of these Karen Wraiths while you can. Maybe even charge in the Lokir and just try to get these Karen Wraiths donezo as they, you already put a Fate of Buna into it. You might as well try to get them, yeah, dead. And then the Witch Elves, I don't believe in magic, no. They just have the Frenzy or Witch Elf Rage ability, which is very nice. The Manfred is hopping in, catches another skirmish unit of the Dark Elves. They need to be very careful about letting terror-causing Manny get into the goods there. Scourge Runner probably firing down at Manfred, I would assume. Blood Knights are making their way all the way around. They're not going to try to contest that Cold One Knight Black Arc combo, but it is now a full little attempt at gooning Manny with the Witch Elves, who got bottled up by a summoned... Well, was it a summoned zombie? Yeah, it was a summoned zombie unit. And good shit from the Manny, making a quick escape using his necromantic unnatural abilities to get away from the grasp of Lokir. More skirmish fire coming in, doing a good amount of damage onto these Blood Knights with the armor-piercing shots of the repeater crossbows from the Dark Riders. They will be dealing a good chunk of damage to those knights, even with them being shielded. But you would think they have better shields than 30%, but it is what it is. Again, these Dark Riders, though, keep getting caught up by the various flying units. Now, these Vargas do surprisingly have 92 speed, which you wouldn't think they would have. They obviously don't have it on foot, but while they're flying around, their wings do provide pretty good momentum. Manfred getting a little caught out by the Cold One Knights. More importantly, Blood Knights are getting a little bit too deep in the sauce. They're getting a little smacked around, shot up, and surrounded by the Cold One Knights. Probably need to dip out of there, but it might be too late, especially if Lokir decides to come in and smack him around. Manny being an absolute menace, trying to fight back against Lokir, but Lokir, just a better combatant in general. He's got the, let's see, what is it, 50 melee attack right now, but usually it's like, what, like 60 in the 60s or something? Or maybe he just buffed himself with the Duelist as well. Ooh, Rampaged Manfred. The rest of the engagement for the Vampire Elves is not going great, as basically these Dark Elves are leading them on a wild goose chase, running away from the slow-ass skeleton spears and zombies, and Manfred goes down. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is probably game. Manfred being caught out by the Witch Elves with their brew, and then Lokir jumping right on that booty when it presented itself. He got to clapping real quick, and Manny bit the dust. Michael Jackson did another one, back to the dust. That's Michael Jackson. That's Queen. I'm Gen Z, don't blame me. I'm uncultured. Now Lokir is waddling away, but yeah, that's pretty much it. You see, this is DE. Okay. Doggo probably found Skaven under his house. Yeah, Lucy actually does hunt rats. She, we have this chicken coop, and she will absolutely hunt down the vile Skaven that plagued the chickens. Even though the chickens are super old at this point, so like we weren't expecting them to live this long, so the quality of the coop has gone down quite a bit, because we didn't really want to like pay for like, or even pay for supplies for making a new one. I digress. The doggo does hunt Skaven, and Manfred got okay value, but I mean, yeah, it was rough. Like, a lot of these Vargas didn't find a home. There's just a lot of good support elements for these skirmish units, even though they were getting slightly caught out, and I'm surprised some of them didn't terror out when Manfred and some of the Vargas got decent charges on them. But no, Menacing Platypus was very on point with his surgical use of these skirmish units to just wipe out Blood Knights, pressure the hell out of Manfred, and deal a good job, deal a good amount of damage to the Vargeist, while kind of leading the Karen Wraiths and the rest on a goose chase, which is interesting because the Karen Wraiths actually should be able to catch up to Black Arcs, and you kind of, I would imagine, you throw them in and then saturate them with zombies and spearmen after because they have the cold. But yeah, that army managed to wiggle around. So we're going to game 3, an epic final conclusion. We will get our blocker up for the last time, and we will put some properties, and let's see, what do we? It's gonna be Kugath versus Mazda, huh? I think we can just use the Mazda Mundi 1. Do I not have it? Maybe I'll go to just the regular art. I don't know why I just have that picture of him just like standing up all weird. Let's see. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah. We all know what's happening. You may not like it, but you know what's gonna happen. Time to see some sweet Mazda dad bod. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah. It's time for the fat boy off. It's gonna be Kugath versus Mazda Mundi. The most flabby of all matchups possible. Whoever wins adds another wrinkle under their chin. Yes. But that last game was really interesting. The vampire count like frontline needed to definitely keep pushing and pressuring the rest of that Dark Elf army, and I almost think it was a mistake to engage those Blood Knights over on that flank. I think you just chill out and keep pressing and trying to deal good damage to the infantry and get the hand crossbows down, because you can sort of almost catch the skirmish with your Vargeists. So as long as you can keep pressuring them in some way, they're not always going to be getting a shit ton of damage. So I think you just need to avoid Lokir, stay in the air, because if you stay in the air, the Vargeists are there. You can give them healing and just circle beat Lokir if he decides to engage Manfred straight up. And then I think you go, and then yeah, you just push. You just need to push, and just not let those dark elves make that little bubble, like the little bubble in the pocket of like, if anybody kind of knows that terminology from American football, but essentially means, so in terms of like rugby, there's like a scrum or whatever. At the beginning of each play in American football, there's the two lines, the offensive line, defensive line. And when they clash, there's like a little area and a little breathing room that the quarterback for the offensive team has to throw the ball. And, how good the offensive line is determined by how long they can keep the quarterback safe. So in terms of, analogies, all those missile units were the quarterback. And by moving and kind of kiting back, the Dark Elves created a bubble of which they could just sit there and fire as they retreated backwards from the assaults of the one flank of that vampire count army. So very fun stuff. Very fun stuff. Very well played to Platypus and Gentle Rat. I think Gentle Rat just needed to be a little more aggressive. It is 1-1, yeah. It is going to game 3, baby. Game 3. Oh, yeah. I don't know why I have that stuck in my head. It's such an ancient meme, but it checks out. Okay, can this stop? What if a Slan was one of us? Just casting spells on the bus. Trying to make his way home. Man. This is gonna be an interesting one. I haven't seen this matchup a ton, to be frank with you. Because usually, like in most settings, like Vermin League, some other stuff, there's a lot of pick and bans, kind of strategy that goes around. So it eliminates a lot of different matchups. If you're getting to the nitty gritty of meta, so you try to find but again, I still think there's a lot of we would need a huge player base just in general to get a lot of the metas down. So I think there's still a lot of untapped potential with a lot of different factions. So, but the meta that the current land battle community has found, it usually revolves around very similar builds and matchups and stuff, just due to what the community knows and not. All right, for the HQ of Nurg, we got Kugath Plaguefather. With Plaguefather's, Oration, so the defense and leadership buff. We have Virulent Contagion. I don't really like this that much. I mean, it's still pretty good, but just not great in my opinion. Fleshy Abundance, very good spell. Yes, I agree. Nurgle Infestation, of course. Automatic. Slime Trail. Children Nurgle, and then the good old... plus Pestilent Decay, AoE damage. Very gross. So, he comes with a Cultist. With the Gate. Very nice. So you can summon some Plague Bears. Very cool. And he has a icon of Eternal Virulence. Affected units. Okay, so it just has to be in melee, and he gives all these debuffs. So that's kind of interesting. That's kind of cool. The longer he's in melee, the more debuffs he gives, etc. So then we have the Soul Grinder Nurgle. Long range artillery piece. Very good. 4 Marauders. 2 Exalted Plague Bears with their poop grenades. Very nice. And then we have a ridiculous little vanguard of 4 Nurgles and 2 Chaos Warhounds for the HQ of the Gizzards, the Lizard Gizzards here. We have Mazda on Zlak with Banishment, Ruination of Cities, Apotheosis, Net of Amantok, and Common Cazador. A lot of spells, but very good stuff indeed. Sunburst Standard as well for some extra missile resist and defense. And yeah, then we got a old one, or what is it? Not an old one. It's called a Scar Veteran. There we go. With Foe Seeker and Cold Blooded, and then a Reviv Crystal on that Bastillodon. Now, we also have the very popular Colossadon Hunters, anti-large Ripperdactyls that are just very good. We have 4 Skink Skirmishers, not the Chameleon Skinks, so no physical resist, or not. Yeah, no physical resist for them. Very cold ones hopping in to stop these Chaos Warhounds from strictly obliterating those skirmishers. And, we have Salamander Hunting Pack. How many regular skin cohort? 4 of them. So the Salamander Hunting Pack trying to focus down the Soul Grinder, dealing some good damage. Has 90 armor, but it is still a lot of damage coming in from ranged units. Then we got a Razor Dawn Hunter Pack. So we just got a hodgepodge of biological weapon teams here from the Salamander Hunting Pack and the Razor Dawn. So we got a lot of stuff going on, and a strong hero squad by the Lizards, but not a weak single entity squad from the Nurg at all. Kugath, one of the best melee lords in the game, simply because he can outlast everything and everyone. The Colossadon Hunters popping. Are they going to pop their thing? No, they're not. They're coming in on these Chaos Warhounds, not the greatest targets for them, and they are going to be taking unnecessary amounts of damage, in my opinion. Popped a little premature there, but they're going to use their mass and their flappy wings to just skirt on out of there if they can, but they're taking a lot of residual damage. Are they getting revivified? No, not quite right now. And this may be a loss of those Colossadons, which would be huge if these guys go down, because these guys can be brutal in the flank. And also I was figuring that late game you would need them for that epic finale fight between Mazda and Kugath. Having these Razordons, Jesus Christ, Ripperdactyls would be immensely helpful. Feral Cold One's kind of chilling. Razordon's chilling. And the Skink Skirmisher's chilling as well, kind of trying to pick apart these Marauders. But as you can see, the value difference is just crazy. between Nurg and the Lizards right now. There is a lot of isolated Marauders that could be picked off for free here. Some of the skink cohorts, although expended all their ammo, are going to get worked over by these two Nurglings, unfortunately, sandwiching them a Nurgling sandwich with skink salami on the inside. But overall, Lizards are starting to crawl back in a little bit as they're engaging more of their skirmishing force, getting some damage in. Mazda avoiding Kugath like the plague that he is, because he doesn't want that smoke in general. He does want that smoke with a cultist, though, and some of the other infantry that the Nurg have to provide. You also have to be very careful with Mazda, because if a poop volley goes from the Exalted Plague Bearers directly into him, he's going to take a shit ton of damage. The difference is slightly... Okay, that was a good comment. Boosted it up. Man, my English is faltering this last one. Sorry, I didn't re-engage. But the comet did do a lot of damage to those infantry there, routing them off, but the Nurglings are still standing strong. It did kind of equal up a lot of the... And oh, here's where the value. The net plus all the skirmish is obliterating Kugath. This is a huge deal. Kugath is getting Kugushed on, and Lord Mazda Mundi and the Scarvet is going to try their best to isolate Kugath. You might not want to commit all quite yet. He does still have 7k left. Keep in mind, a low health Kugath is a normal health to anything else. So you might want to hop on, and try to get all... Oh my god, no. The Nurgle had such a good lead, but now, because all this skirmish is just basically running free, all the Marauders and Nurglings were able to get picked off. The Chaos Warhounds are not able to get into the cookie jar for some of these more important skirmish units. And Kugath is going down. He is now in danger zone where if Mazda and the Scarvet... Ooh, but the Scarvet is getting chased off by the Cultist in turn. Very interesting. Scarvet should traditionally be able to deal good damage to the Cultist, but he's probably getting gang-bangled by the Kugath and clan. But it is looking horrendous for the Kugath. I mean, the infantry fight is hopelessly not really in the legitimate favor, but it completely switched mid-game. Oh my god. The laid-back skirmish strategies is just absolutely bonkers. This and Kugath is going down. Yeah, Kugath destroyed. His toilet seat abandoned as he goes back to the warp there. Oh my god, and I think that's a dub for the Lizards. I don't think there's anything that the rest of this Nurgle force can do. The Soul Grinder really... I don't know what the Soul Grinder was supposed to do, but damn, the Colossadon Hunters come back with a Righteous Fury, probably healed up by the Revivification Crystal. But yeah, the Lizards totally outlasted Nurgle. Or rather, outblasted them, because Kugath got destroyed, wreckified, annihilated, dunzo, deceased. He has no longer persisted on this planet. He's gone. GG, holy shit. Lizard versus Nurg Mob. Okay. I think I managed to get that. If not, we'll see. But, wow. Damn, 400 value on Kugath. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I think the zoning, you just got a little greedy with the Kugath, and you needed to try to compromise these guys as much as possible. There was lots of good engagements, but the Nurglings, I guess, were not able to close out the job as quickly as I thought, because there was a lot of compromised assets of the Lizardmen at the beginning of the match. I mean, a lot of these skirmishers, they did get their volleys off, but they were just kind of uselessly against the Marauders. But I think it was like the Hounds and Soul Grinder not having enough pressure to get these mobile assets off of the backs of their stuff. Like, look at some of this damage. It's absolutely insane. I mean, these Salamander Hunter packs just melted the Kugath. GG, guys. This was an amazing game, an amazing series, and an awesome tournament. Thank you to Umbrella for hosting it, and thank you for the players who participated. We could not do events without the player base and without the people who want to watch it, so thank you all very much for joining me today. And hopefully we'll be doing another one of these, and as my per usual promise, I'm really going to try to push for a lot of content coming out this next week, regardless of what's happening. we will see. I'm done saying it's a 100% thing because I've said that a few times, and then due to life reasons, have not been able to deliver. So we will see. But hopefully, I will be coming out with a lot more stuff. And once the train gets rolling, I feel like I'll have the impetus to just keep going. So, yeah. Enjoy, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your day. There's going to be more events tomorrow, I believe. There's another tournament hosted. I'm forgetting off the top of my head what it is. But I believe it's casted by Human Boy or Lich or somebody. Somebody's got you. And we'll catch you on the next one. Yeah, that's about all I got to say. Goji out.